Hey guys, welcome to Deeb's TCG. I'm Dylan. This is Devin.
That's me. Today.
And today we're going to look at all of the deck archetypes going into Paldea Evolved, and we're going to rank them on a tier list for you guys.
For sure. I just want to start off with a preface. Paldea Evolved releases tomorrow, or I guess today, when this video releases. It comes out today. Brand new set, super fun, super interesting. These are all the decks we're going to go through. Tier list. Credit to Zapdos TCG for the tier list. That's it. We're going to go now. So,
yeah,
we'll start off with Arceus Duraludon. What do you think of Arceus Duraludon?
it is basically the same as it's been for like the last two sets.
That's pretty much it.
More or less. It's still good.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to change much with Paldea Evolved releasing.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a bit more Umbreon recently, and I think that's just going to continue. It's pretty much the same. What do you think?
It does get Iono going into Paldea Evolved. It's going to be kind of like a recurring theme for most of the decks.
Yeah, a lot of these get Iono. We might as well just say it now. Everything benefits from Iono, basically.
And Super Rod.
Yeah. What do you think? Where do you think ArcDura is going? Just based on today's current performance, because I think it's honestly going to stay that way.
Well, I mean, I'd probably put it in A. I don't think it's quite one of the best decks in our current format.
Yeah.
It did just recently win EUIC, so obviously bad. But it's definitely not the best deck currently in our format, so for that reason I put A.
I think I agree with that. So, ArcDura in A. So all those ArcDura enjoyers continue enjoying. ArcPika now. Honestly, I don't see a lot of this in general. I don't think we'll continue to see a lot of this. I don't think it's really that good. It's funny. I think it'd be an alright pick for like a league night, not so much a league cup.
Yeah.
I think it's probably like a C tier. Yeah, we'll just stick it in C.
C tier.
C tier. Alright, so we're moving on to the next one. This is LZGiratina now. Probably one of the strongest decks currently. Super heavily played. If I'm not mistaken, it just won Portland Regionals, I believe. So it's got that going for it, which is great.
Quite good.
The thing with it is that it's so consistent. And it gets even more consistent with Paldea Evolved, including things like Iono, which we already mentioned is like everything. Quaquaval, some new techs, like the new Pelipper that lets you take a supporter from your discard or your deck when you evolve it. Jet Energy is a great switching card too. It's got all these brand new things that you can include just to up the already consistent deck to be even more consistent than it was. And honestly, just for that alone, I think it's probably an S tier.
Almost definitely an S tier. It's very consistent.
Yeah, so we'll put that there. First new deck, completely new deck. This is Chien-Pao EX with Baxcalibur.
If you haven't seen our video on this deck in Meowscarada EX, go watch it. We do quite a bit more in-depth highlight of it.
Yes.
But basically very, very fast acceleration, very consistent setup of Baxcalibur with Irida.
Yeah, Irida is busted in this deck.
Busted. Probably not going to be one of our top decks in this format, but definitely very good, and very consistent. So,
I think I agree with that. For now, I'm gonna put it in A, personally.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Once Sword and Shield rotates out, this is going to be a very good deck.
Darkrai. What do you think of Darkrai?
It's not very good. I don't think it's ever really been that good.
No.
And it's not like it's changing much. The only reason it's on this list is because there's so many Psychic decks in rotation that it has the benefit of weakness and being a counter meta deck. But against pretty much anything else, it's just not good.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
So Sorry.
Our first
if you
F.
like Darkrai, but I mean I like Darkrai too, but
I do too, but it's not very good.
Okay.
Palkia
VSTAR. It's down here, but in our notes it's a bit higher, so we'll talk about it now. What do you think?
Basically, it's just kind of like a part of Chien-Pao at this point.
Yeah.
The actual deck,
yeah,
the actual deck on its own, just Palkia VSTAR, probably not super great. But it's almost an auto-include into most Chien-Pao lists that we've seen.
Yeah, it's really popular as like a setup Pokemon and a support Pokemon in Chien-Pao specifically. It's not nearly as strong as it once was. Still not bad, though. I mean, I've seen lists that still just play the Palkia and nothing else, but I think, honestly, at this point, it's just an include into Chien-Pao.
Yeah.
Really.
It's alright.
Yeah, so we'll put it right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Speaking of right in the middle, Dialga VSTAR with Magnezone. We've done a video on this before, showcasing it in PTCGL. The deck doesn't really gain much from Paldea Evolved, other than the aforementioned Iono and Super Rod, as with most decks. It's honestly the same. Like, there's not really anything changed. It still does the same thing. And it's still just alright.
One thing I will mention about it is that Chien-Pao does have weakness to steel.
This is true, yeah.
And if you're expecting that to be your league, it might be a nice thing to play. I expect Chien-Pao is going to be pretty popular, so if you're hoping to go up against that, Dialga's probably a good bet, because with weakness, it will be really good.
I think I agree. Either way, I think I will just put it in dead center with Palkia, because it's alright, but I don't think it's as good. United Wings. I feel like United Wings... I mean, I love this style of deck. Like, my favorite deck of all time is Night March. So, it's just so fun when you discard them all. The problem is that these Pokemon have such small amounts of health, and they do not as much as they used to, which is just not great when there's so many Pokemon that have a casual 300 HP. That being said, if you want to play it, it actually has like a ton going for it right now, with cards like Ditto from Pokemon Go and Kirlia, for instance, because you can just discard and then draw, discard, draw over and over and over.
Yeah, it's very fun to play, for sure. This deck really needs a lot of other pieces to get working. Main one being Squawkabilly early in the game, and then, as Devin said earlier, Ditto and Kirlia. It's just not super consistent.
So, yeah, I'm going to put it in C just for that reason alone.
Yep.
Alright, next on our list is Gardevoir, the Big Bad.
Yes.
One of the strongest cards ever printed to date.
Yep.
And it will continue to stay that way, because Gardevoir is really good.
Really good, really consistent deck. It's it's almost kind of hard to not be set up within a couple turns with this deck. It's very consistent, and it gets a couple extras in this set. It gets Iono, of course, as everything else does, and same with Super Rod.
You can cut your Miriams now. It's like,
cut your Miriams down.
Yeah, Drifloon was already hitting a fair amount of damage, but with Bravery Charm, you hit some key numbers. It's still kind of a meme. Like, I don't know if that's the way that I would play it, but I think it's funny. It also gains Reversal Energy from this set, which can be an insanely good comeback card. Yeah, I think it just stays just as strong. It won Milwaukee last weekend, so still big ups.
Still gonna be good.
I think it's probably a solid pick for. I think NAIC is coming up, so if you're looking for a deck, maybe Gardevoir is your play. So
probably what a lot of people are going to be playing.
S tier easily, I think. It's just that strong. And continuing with our Gardevoir, we have Gardevoir Mewtwo. I think the problem with Mewtwo is it adds inconsistency into the deck. So those 4 cards that you have in there as Mewtwo could be 4 cards that will help you win with a regular Gardevoir better, essentially. It's still not bad, though. I'm honestly just going to give it an A. Goodra. Specifically Lost Zone Goodra, yeah.
Yeah.
Goodra kind of fell off. Honestly, a lot of Lost Zone boxes, surprisingly, don't actually gain much from this set outside of maybe like energy, like Jet Energy, and some cards here and there. Lost Zone Goodra can maybe have some different tech options, such as Spiritomb, which we'll talk about later when we bring up Mew. But really, it's just Goodra.
Yeah.
And it honestly, I think it goes the same as for Arceus Goodra. Maybe a bit more consistent for Arceus Goodra, but you lose out on some of those specific plays. It's kind of a trade-off, and both are alright.
Yeah. Pretty much. Just stick them both right in B.
I think I agree. Alright,
They're both alright.
Both alright.
Yeah.
Kyurem. What do you think of Kyurem?
It's not great anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of had like it's kind of like a one-time I'm the big guy type moment, and then it kind of just fell off.
Yeah, honestly, we're kind of seeing it more as like an include into, similar to Palkia, we're seeing it as an include to Chien-Pao lists at this point. More so than we're seeing it on its own.
Yeah, I think on its own, it's just not that great. At least not as good. Anyways, I'm putting this over in C because it's not that good.
Yeah.
On the contrary.
Yeah.
Lost Zone box.
Yeah.
Arguably the best deck.
Yeah.
Arguably. It's just so strong. I'm not good enough to play Lost Box, really, or at least play it effectively. But
yeah,
when you get results as consistently all the time, it's placing so high. Sableye still takes knockouts like nobody's biz.
Yeah.
The deck, honestly... I mean, with Paldea Evolved, the deck doesn't really change. You get Jet Energy to switch your Comfies, and you get Super Rod, which is super odd. We all love Super Odd, though, so...
Yeah, I mean, Lost Zone Box is obviously a really good deck. It does have a pretty high barrier to entry, though. Like you said, I'm not good enough to play Lost Zone Box. It's a lot of thinking. You can pretty much do anything with the deck, which is why it continuously places so high. But you'll also see that in a lot of those tournaments where Lost Zone Box is placing quite high, it's also placing very low, because it's such a hard deck to pilot, and beginner players or fairly new players tend to go to time with it all the time.
Yeah, it is. It's just so tough to play, but when you play, if you're a high-level player, or you just know the deck really well, I think it's always just so good. I don't know. Easy yes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Alright.
Yeah, totally.
Lost Zone Tina. The worst version of Tina. It suffers from consistency a lot more than the Arceus Tina variant. You can still get the energy when you need it, but I think it really struggles sometimes, and it's just not as consistent. You never see it placed nearly as high as an Arceus Giratina, but you can still do all right with it. But if you really want to play Giratina, I would just play Arceus Giratina personally.
Yeah, if you're already shelling out for a Giratina line, you might, and a Lost Zone line for that matter, you should probably just do the ArcTina, because they're really, like, in terms of budget, they aren't budget decks. They're both about the same price.
Yeah, honestly.
So I'd probably just go up for the ArcTina, because it is far more consistent, and honestly not as difficult to pilot.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think it's still good, not as good, so we'll put it in A. SableZard.
Yeah, funny.
Kind of fell off. It was really good for a while, and now it's just kind of nowhere.
Yep.
I just don't see why you would place SableZard over just regular Lost Box, personally. Lost Zone Box already has all the tools that you need, and if you're just really focused on that Radiant Zard, I don't know. I just don't think it's nearly as good. I think B.
Yeah.
Okay, so next on our list is Lugia Snorlax, which is a newcomer in the Lugia field.
Really funny.
Got a lot of... This one's... All the new cards in this are basically just energy, really. It's got a ton of the new energy, like... I can't even remember off the top of my head. You know, like the...
Jet, I'd assume.
Jet energy. I can't remember the other one off the top of my head, sorry. But all these new energy are in there. It focuses on the Snorlax as like a stall option. It's just a different playstyle than your regular single strike Lugia, and I don't think it is nearly as good as single strike Lugia. And honestly, I just don't know why you would play that over the already proven to be great single strike Lugia, which also won, I don't believe it was a regional, but I think it was a special event. A special event in Italy, Turin specifically. Yeah. I don't know why you would ever play the Snorlax version over that, really. At least right now. So. Maybe in the future, but for now, yeah. I'm thinking B.
Yeah.
B.
Definitely B.
On the contrary, speaking of, we just spoke about it, but Single Strike Lugia is one of the best decks right now.
It's very good.
Honestly, it keeps placing top, just like Gardevoir, Lost Box, and ArcTina. So, they've already explained everything, really. It's just, you take big knockouts, and...
Yeah.
Yeah, so some different energy now. Jet energy.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. It does get jet energy, which opens up a couple cards in the deck anyway, so you don't have to play any switching cards.
Easy S, I think, for this one.
Easy S tier. Totally. Easy.
So up there, Meowscarada, my favorite card in this set. But it's not that good, to be honest with you.
Yep.
At least not right now. Main downfall, I think, is that it's a stage 2, and it doesn't have as any consistency like Gardevoir does. I mean, its middle evolution is not drawing 2 cards all the time, right? So it kind of loses a lot. But, you know...
It's definitely not the most consistent deck in the world. It does have a lot of potential, as you said, but being a stage 2 is pretty rough in this format, save for, of course, Gardevoir, because there are so many decks in this format that are so fast, that are just stage 1s or even basics.
I think if the format slows down, it has a chance, but I think for right now, it is a C. You can play with Arceus, too. Mew. Mew.
Always good. They can't seem to bring it down for some reason.
Yeah, they just keep making these cards that want to destroy Mew, and they keep not killing Mew. So, like...
The specific one in this set being Spiritomb, which shuts off all basic V's abilities. Which, I mean... It's a useful tech against Mew, and probably not a lot of people are going to play it, and it doesn't really help against Fusion Strike Mew at all.
That's true. Well, I mean, if the Mew starts, or even if you don't get a Spiritomb out fast enough, a lot of the times Mew just uses their Genesect, and then they're done with their Genesect. So, like... ability locking a Genesect at, like, in this day... kind of amounts to nothing unless you do it like the first turn.
Yeah.
You can't beat Mew. It's too strong.
Yeah.
Both of
really
them,
made
honestly.
A mistake with that guy.
DTE Mew, I think, is better if you like more control over your match. And Fusion Strike if you like to donk or like fast decks. So either way, both of them are A. Probably also S. I'd put them in the middle, but for now I'm going to put them in A, just because I have a little bit more hope about the Spiritomb than any other tech. But I think I said that about all the last techs too, so...
So...
I'll put them in A, but
Definitely
also could
A.
be S.
Could be.
Both
for
of them.
sure. Yeah.
Miraidon. Hello,
Miraidon.
Miraidon player. That's you.
Yeah. Go watch my video on it.
Yeah.
So Miraidon is largely unchanged. It gets Bravery Charm, which is cool. And of course Iono Super Rod. But it's always kind of been alright, not super great, and that trend kind of just continues. Like, it doesn't hit quite the numbers that we want.
Yeah.
And when we see rotation of Sword and Shield, it loses quite a lot, which obviously isn't a big deal quite yet, but we're definitely losing it eventually. And right now it's just not doing a whole lot of damage, and although it is super consistent, like, it is a really consistent deck. It's almost the same setup every time. You just get behind in the prize trade because it is not doing enough damage.
I think it's probably B, closer to C. Oops.
Yeah.
I missed. There you go. B, closer to C.
Yeah.
Alright, speaking of closer to C...
Well...
Noivern.
Or further from C, depending on your point of view. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's
alone
not
specifically good. Bad.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it. I saw a list. I'll try to find it. If I find it, I'll put it on screen. But I found a list that plays just Noivern, and that's the only list I saw.
Yeah.
I think in Regidrago it has a place, and honestly, it could be good. Regidrago kind of is always stuck in that middle to low tier.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's just not, like, it doesn't hit for some reason. I don't really know. What do you think? You've played it.
Yeah, I played this one in Vancouver Regionals, and it was alright. It wasn't what people were expecting. It's certainly missing quite a lot, and it just sucks against some of the best decks in format right now.
Yeah.
Like, Lugia hits exactly Regidrago's health, and there's not really a way of getting around that in this deck. And with, like, how many Lugia variants there are, and of course being an S tier, as well as the fact that all of those other S tier decks still just will take it out in one hit, except for Lost Zone, which it'll just go to time against over and over again because both decks are so slow.
Yeah.
It's just not, probably not your best bet, and the Noivern doesn't really change that.
Yeah, I think I agree. As it stands now, I'm putting it in F.
Yep.
Following up with the Fs.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. This one is pretty obvious, though.
It could be a C, but I'm going to stick in F. No, I think it could be a C, but I don't think it'd be a high C.
Yeah. I don't think anybody saw this card and was expecting it to do a whole lot.
Saw a little bit of theory, but nothing really.
Yeah. It's just too weak. Doesn't have enough health.
A lot of energy required.
Yeah. Especially for a deck that doesn't really have a whole lot of acceleration. Like, you have to manually attach. That's really your only way of getting damage in.
Yeah.
So.
As previously spoiled.
Yeah.
Alright. Sander Control.
Yeah,
this deck
Sander
was
Control.
made by... Sander, sorry, I can't pronounce your last name. Either way.
But.
Master deck builder.
Yeah.
I don't know how to play this deck.
Yeah. He placed 32nd at EUIC with this deck.
I imagine it's really good.
Yeah.
I'm not a control player. I'm not Sander. I don't know. I'd probably put it in the hands of anybody else, B, probably. In the hands of Sander alone, S.
Yeah.
That's what I think, at least. I don't know. I'll just put it in B for now.
Yeah.
In the hands of anybody regularly, I would say probably B or less.
Yep.
Okay. We're gonna do Quaquaval.
Okay.
Not good, probably.
Probably not great.
No.
I mean, it could be good against very specific decks. The whole like Lively Samba to Klefki combo is pretty cool. But I don't think it's enough. And with Klefki only shutting down basic Pokemon, it with abilities, it's so specific that it's just I don't think it's gonna do a whole lot for anything. And like the damage numbers are super awkward. Like they don't hit anything for 1.
Yeah.
And it's not like it's not. There are even some that it misses in 2. So like it's really just not good enough.
I'm thinking F for our Samba dancer here.
Yeah.
All right. Now Regis. Sad.
Yeah.
Regis is always a weird deck to me. When it was good, it seemed like it was really good sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
It felt really like luck dependent almost, at least when I played it. I know there are players who can make anything happen, but as an average, very average player, personally, I found it kind of luck dependent. The main thing is that it's lost all of this special energy. You have like nothing left. Slowly it's getting more. Like I think it could come back. There's like luminous energy now, which doesn't really do much just because you can only have 1 attached. I mean the deck, honestly, at least in Scarlet and Violet, it was playing like 10 basic energy when it used to be playing, you know, like Twin Energy and Double Turbo and Gift Energy and Aurora Energy. But now it just plays some Lightning and Fire and Grass.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not good. It might be good in the future. As of Paldea Evolved, which this tier list is for, I'm saying F.
Bad.
Yeah. Shadow Rider. Also not great, but I mean,
another
Shadow
one
Rider
that changed.
Yeah. You can still play your straight Shadow Rider with like Eternatus, like Radiant Eternatus. I did see one list that was really funny. It played a Flareon VMAX with Volcarona. I thought that was pretty neat. But really, it kind of seems like a niche deck that you bring to League Night, and that's it. Why, when Gardevoir exists, right? Gardevoir is just better in every way. You don't give up 3 prizes when you get KO'd. You can attach all the energy, ever. You have a ton of single prize options so that you're never necessarily taking or losing half the game in 1 knockout. Like, I don't know. I think it's not that good. Yeah, low C, probably in the middle, but C.
Yeah.
Skeledirge.
All right.
All these new cards.
Yeah. They might be really good one day when Sword and Shield rotates.
Yeah. Skeledirge is kind of neat, but it's not great. It's actually played a bit more than you would expect, but I don't think it's good by any means. It only does 250 minus per damage counter,
270.
correct? 270 minus per damage counter. And so
minus 10 per damage counter.
Realistically, if you're doing 270 once, the next turn they'll hit you back, and then you're already down from 270 to whatever. If they hit you for a big chunk, then I mean, you can probably clean up nice, but it's kind of almost, despite showing off as a big 270 hitter, it's really a 2-shot. It's just a little 2-shotter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 270 is also really an awkward number.
Unfortunate. 10 short of everything that you
10 short of Tina, 10 short of Lugia, 40 short of Gardevoir, like...
Another thing, actually, while we're on the topic of weakness, it's weak to Chien-Pao.
Yeah.
So, that's bad. I'm putting an F.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair.
Snorlax Stall. It is... I've barely seen it, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's just a
I
control
don't play
deck.
Stall.
I don't play Stall. I don't play Control.
Yeah.
I'm putting it in C. I don't really have much
Yeah,
to say
fair.
about it. If you like Snorlax Stall, Snorlax Control, I think you'll just play that, right? Like,
It's meant for a very specific kind of player.
yeah, not I.
Yeah, same.
So, it can be good in the right hands. That's what I think.
Oh yeah, totally.
All right.
All right.
Ting-Lu.
Ting-Lu.
It's new. It's a deck.
Yeah.
I love it. I don't think it's really the best, but I think it's better than a lot of the cards that are out in this set, or at least a lot of the Pokemon.
Yeah.
Often played with Miraidon as an energy support. Being able to lock abilities like that is pretty good. You can even forego the Spiritomb, although you might still want to play it. You're able to lock a ton. It doesn't do great damage, but I think that's kind of the idea. I think it's kind of the idea is to lock, and while you're locking, you can do damage, and it kind of works out the same way as a big hitter would.
It's kind of a weird mix between like a spread deck and an ability lock deck. Running it with Radiant Alakazam, you can shut down quite a lot of Pokemon.
Spoons.
And that's kind of the point. But if they're running any sort of healing, it's basically useless.
If they're playing like a Radiant Serena, it's kind of not great.
Cheryl.
Overall, I think it's average. It does absolutely destroy Miraidon, though. So, B.
Yeah. Yeah, to be fair, the second highest archetype specifically from the set we've put so far.
True.
So
it's not as good as its friend Chien-Pao there, but I wouldn't overlook it. Urshifu Inteleon.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Edge damage, nice. It's largely unchanged.
Rapid Strike as a whole force isn't like the best. But I think it's, for most of its life, it's been significantly better than Single Strike.
Until now.
Yeah. I don't think this deck is the best. I think Rapid Strike has been really good. I think this is about on par with how good it's been, maybe a bit worse, but
yeah.
Either way, the deck doesn't really change. Nothing new from Paldea Evolved, so I'm going B.
Yeah.
Just because it's actually still doing alright. I'll let you roll with this one.
Wo-Chien Forretress. Very interesting deck. Another new one. Just entirely new. Everything about this is new. It could be really good. I don't think it has enough consistency for it yet. And I think it's extremely risky giving your opponent prize cards right at the beginning as a setup tool.
It's probably the main issue, I think.
Yeah. Like, it could be good. It gets better the further you get into the game.
Yeah.
So if you're playing against fairly slow decks, it might be better. But it's extremely inconsistent and probably not worth your time yet, anyways.
Yeah. I think the real star of this show is the Forretress, just because it can be played with so much. I mean, you can play it with the Meowscarada, as I mentioned earlier. I mean, I didn't mention it specifically could be played, but Meowscarada I mentioned. You could still play Forretress with Meowscarada, or you could play it with Superior VSTAR, which hasn't seen like any play, but any grass type really, or even some like colorless you could play it with. It gives up 2 prizes, obviously, which isn't great, but I think Forretress is probably one of my favorite cards from this set. It's
really funny.
I think it could do a lot, and I'm excited to see what happens with it. So this one goes in C because I don't think it's it's definitely not with the guys below it.
Yeah.
And last one on this list, we have a couple more after, but on this list specifically, Hisuian Zoroark VSTAR. Kind of
basically the same.
Hasn't been that good. It doesn't really gain much from Paldea Evolved outside of like maybe a Squawkabilly, but it's kind of always just been a lower tier at least. Kind of play it if you like it, have fun type deck. I don't know.
I love the style of deck of like setting up damage counters with external Pokemon to ping for high or to attack for higher damage. I love that style. I don't think current format that it's doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
I think that the consistency that other decks provide really outshine this one.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really seen much of it since
the release
before
basically.
Crown Zenith. Like,
yeah,
I haven't seen much of this deck in general, really, so. Yeah, it's still alright, so I'm gonna put it in C, because I don't think it's as bad as some of the options below it. So the couple we have here that we don't have full space for are Tinkaton, Paldean Clodsire, and Grafai. They're just the last ones we wanted to mention. They're not on the list, but you can see it because I did it all myself. So, first we'll talk about Tinkaton.
Yeah.
Funniest card ever. Maybe not.
Funny guy.
But I like it a lot.
See it as for some reason, in Lost Zone.
Yeah. Lost Zone kind of does that.
I can't explain that, but it seems interesting. We did do a video on it and Paldean Clodsire, and Tinkaton was alright.
Yeah, it did pretty well.
Seemed fairly consistent.
The list that I played was not the best, I don't think. It was kind of cool, and like if you hit off the Brendan and the Altaria and the Squavit all, it feels immaculate. But I don't know if that's the best way to play. If you're looking for straight consistency, I'd probably go the Kirlia from Silver Tempest. You could even include the Gardevoir, the single prize Gardevoir.
Shining Arcana is its ability.
Yeah, because you'd just be drawing so much that way. Shining Arcana, you draw 2 cards regardless. Kirlia, you're trading for 2 cards. So I think as it stands, I'd put it in C.
Big hammer potential.
Big hammer potential.
Lots of big hammer potential.
More potential than the big hammer in the VGC, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about the next one here that we got?
Paldean Clodsire. It's funny.
Yeah, I don't think it's good.
It's basically Fear, like VGC Fear Rattata. If it was a deck.
Yeah,
it's basically the idea.
It really reminds me of Raticate Break from the X and Y era. Which, in that era, it wasn't like the best thing. In this era, it's not consistent, like, at all. It has... despite, like, Dark Patch being a thing still, it somehow has a real tough time getting out energy. If you get pathed, that's it, dude.
You're done.
Yeah. Like, if you can't get...
You can see that in our preview.
Yeah, if you can't bump the path, it's just... Yeah, that's it.
You're done. Yeah.
I think it's just not good enough. And unless it gets some serious help from something, it's just not going to be good enough. So, there's that.
Basically need a Hypnotoxic laser reprint for it to be good.
Yeah, something. Anything. Really. It's so inconsistent, it hurts. Last deck here is Grafai. Also, I don't know if we mentioned, but Paldean Clodsire is at F. Maybe F.
Yeah, big ol' F there.
So next is Grafai. So it's done actually all right at some tournaments I've seen. Like in Asia, I think it was like a Taiwan tournament. That sounds right to me. But yeah, it's a really niche deck. It plays like 3 dark and every other kind of energy. I played it in the pre-release for Paldea Evolved, and it was super fun, and I want to play it this one. I don't think it's the best, but I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean... I don't know. It's not the best thing, but I'm going to play it at least a little bit, because I think it's funny. So.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm giving it a C.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite feel like an F.
No. So, overall, Paldea Evolved is neat.
It's pretty cool. It's like, there aren't a lot of huge archetypes coming out of Paldea Evolved.
No.
But there's a lot of cards that we're gonna see included on every list on like every deck list here.
Yeah.
Right? Like we said, Iono and Super Rod are hugely beneficial to almost every deck. Less so Super Rod, but still a lot are pretty
like
it helps
there's so
quite
much
a lot.
stuff. But it's all just little things that I think amount to more. It reminds me in a way of like Guardians Rising from Sun and Moon. Like when they reprint or when they first printed like Tapu Lele, where it's like it's not like an archetype in and of itself. But it is something that's included in every deck, so
Yeah.
But yeah. That's basically it for this tier list, I do believe.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. We really appreciate all the support. Some of our videos these days are going like crazy. It's insane. And like the support is immense. I don't know. I really appreciate every single person who watches these. I read all the comments. It's a massive, I don't know, I love it. I love it. Love you guys.
Mwah.
So yeah, keep an eye out. I don't want to say that we'll be doing GLC next week, but
because we said that a few times, but
we'll do
it's
GLC.
coming.
We'll do GLC when it's ready, because I'd rather make a good video than one that you don't want to watch, right?
Yeah.
Which is why we're making this one instead of a PTCGL video.
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut that out, but it's not.
Fair enough.
Overall, that's basically it. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Did you agree with us? Did you disagree with us? Are you a Control player? Can you teach me how to play Control?
Yeah, can you please teach me? Because Minccino Control is the best deck ever printed, so
True.
Somebody teach me how to play it.
Yeah. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Bye-bye, 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 bye-bye. Check out my big Sprigatito. What do you think of that? Oh, Sprigatito.